Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of Ask Dental Views. I'm Dr. Sundar Sikta, and as usual, I have with me Professor Dr. Abdul Samad Khan. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
So, as we promised in the beginning of this season, that we're going to invite some special guests, some program directors of different PhD programs or advisors and supervisors. So, today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Saroash Shahid. So he has done his BDS in 2004, then his MSc in 2005, his PhD in 2010, and currently he's working as reader in dental biomaterials at Institute of Dentistry, Queen Mary, University of London. His research interest focuses on the development of remineralizing dental restoratives, and his research group was awarded the IADR Cardiology Prize in 2017. And more recently, in 2021, the group received GSK Mineralized Tissue Research Prize. And he has also filed 2 patents, which are currently undergoing commercialization. And on the academic side, he is the program director for MSc in Dental Materials. He is the lead for BDS. He's the chair of BSODR Dental Materials Research Group, secretary of IADR Minimally Invasive Dentistry Group, and he also teaches several undergrad and postgraduate courses. So thank you so much, Dr. Sarosh, for giving us time on this weekday, and we're really honored to have you here.
Yes, Assalamualaikum. No, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Welcome, Dr. Saroash, on this platform. And let me tell you, because we have a very long affiliation, it's almost 20 years now, right? So we started our journey together in 2004 when we went to Queen Mary University of London to pursue our career in dental materials. So it's been very nice, for the last almost 20 years, we have been working together, interacting together, and all these things. And thank you very much again. And Saroash, because he progressed very well in UK. So that's why one of the reasons, because he has a lot of experience in supervision of MSc and PhD students. And most importantly, because he's the program director for the MSc program. So that's one of the purposes that when we decided to take his views, because obviously I think it would be beneficial for our young faculty members or young dentists, those who want to pursue their career in basic sciences specifically, or even in clinical sciences. So let's start with this thing. So do you have any questions for Saroash?
Yes, a lot of them. So let's just start with your academic and research background. From the intro, we know that you work for the development of remineralizing dental materials, dental restorations. So what exactly do you work on? And if somebody wants to contact you and somebody wants to know that whether their research interests align with yours, what would you suggest them?
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. So basically, I mean, when I started my research, it was more focused on glass ionomer cement and trying and exploring the remineralizing properties of glass ionomer cement. But then from there, I moved on to resin modified glass ionomers. And in fact, I worked with a commercial company as part of my postdoc to develop resin modified glass ionomer with enhanced properties, which is currently available on the market for purchase. And from there onward, I sort of moved into composites and incorporating bioactive glasses into composites from a more point of view that we've got glasses which release fluoride, which release calcium ions and phosphate ions, which will promote the remineralization. Because one of the issues with composites is secondary caries because of polymerization shrinkage. Now, we can't remove that polymerization shrinkage, but what we can do is actually have some materials which will precipitate out apatite or fluorapatite to plug that gap which is being formed at that interface. And more recently, I've been interested quite a lot in silver diamine fluoride. In fact, for the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years, I've been working quite a bit on silver diamine fluoride, its antimicrobial properties, its karyostatic properties. And just yesterday, one of my PhD students defended her viva, where she was looking at antimicrobial properties of silver diamine fluoride, the mechanism of action, trying to understand how it interacts with the dental tissue, particularly the deciduous enamel and deciduous dentine. So that's the area which I'm quite a bit working on these days.
So on an average, how many PhD or MSc students do you have, at one moment? at one period of time?
I mean, if we are to follow QM regulations, we are not allowed more than 4 students as a primary supervisor. You can be involved with as many as you want as secondary supervisor, but as a primary supervisor, there is a cutoff limit at 4. So at the moment, I've just got 2 at the moment. So yeah, there is space for 2 more. But as a secondary supervisor,
this is what I was getting at.
As a secondary supervisor,
per year or like throughout their PhD program?
Sorry?
4 students per year, or
4 students at any time. 4 students at any time. So you should. I cannot be involved in supervision of 4 students as a primary supervisor at any time.
So can we assume that you're currently looking for students?
Yes, we're always looking for students. We're always looking. It's always, because we've always got a lot of things to work on in terms of research ideas. So it's always looking for students. Okay.
So what would you say is the best time to contact you if anyone is interested to work with you?
The good thing about the PhD program is that there isn't a specific starting time for that. The students can submit their application all the year round, and they can start their PhD program at any time they want. So we can start. Officially, the academic year starts from September, but for the PhD students, there isn't a sort of a specified date when the academic year starts. So whenever they start, the 4 years starts from there. So if they start in January, then after 4 years in January on that specific date, their 4 years will end. So the restriction is on the end date, but there isn't any restriction on the start date.
Okay. So are there any particular skills that you look for in your students when they're applying for PhD and MSc? And what is the difference in both these courses? Like, are there any particular skills that you look for students who are applying for MSc and some other skills that you're looking for students who are applying for PhD?
Can we do it like this, that first, if you just focus on PhD, then we'll discuss on MSc?
Yeah.
Because I think these are 2 different grades. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a PhD student, if we are looking at overseas students, there is a requirement that they need to have done an MSc before they can actually apply for a PhD. Home students, which are UK-based students, they can apply for PhDs after undergraduate because they will have had some research experience as part of their undergraduate degree. But for overseas students, there is a requirement that they need to do an MSc. Now, so in addition to that, they also they need to have a dedication to work, and that's what we are looking at when we are assessing their application, that how well they've written their research statement. Obviously, the research statement is not going to be perfect. We do understand that this might be the first big research project, but we just want to see if they're thinking in the right direction, because that is very important. And if we are happy with the application, then it moves on to the interview, which is mainly an informal chat to see, again, where do they stand in terms of their research experience, what do they know about the topic in which they are applying for, and where do they see themselves after they finish their PhDs. Because one thing with the PhD, it's a 4 years dedication. So that's what we want to see, that this particular student, they are ready to commit themselves for their 4 years. They are ready to face those challenges, because it's not going to be a smooth journey. There will be some ups, there will be some downs, and most importantly, time management is absolutely critical. So that's what we're trying to assess or trying to gauge from the student's application or from that student's at the student's in Viva.
Okay, one thing.
So very
can
basic
I ask
questions. Yeah, sure.
Okay, like, some of the students, they ask this question, like if they want to apply for the PhD program, like not only in UK, in anywhere in the world, and their supervisor, they said, okay, submit a research proposal, right? So what's the criteria? Should they look for the supervisor's area of research, or they can write generally, like on any topic? So what's your take on this thing?
So I think that's a very good question. I think before you apply for a PhD, it's always good to have a chat with the supervisors, have an informal discussion over email or Skype or Zoom call, whatever, and see what area they're working in. and then write a research proposal on that. Say you're talking to somebody who's working on, say, composites or bioactive glasses. So your research proposal should be focused on that area. So a bit of a background, what's the sort of research you're looking at, why you want to do that research, some bits about the proposed methodologies which you want to use, and what you're expecting in terms of the outcome. As I said, we're not expecting a 100% accurate proposal, because obviously the project will change. A PhD project is very dynamic. You might start off with one thing, but by the time you finish, you probably found out something really interesting and gone in a different direction. So, but we're just trying to see is that they have actually thought about that project. They have gone and researched the literature on that topic, and then using that literature, they have actually wrote a comprehensive research plan or research proposal, not something which they just copy pasted from somewhere.
Fair enough.
So if somebody is emailing you and they want you to connect with you, so what exactly are you looking in that email? Like, how should they email you? Should they attach their research proposal with it, or should they just give you a main idea what they want to work on?
I mean, obviously, the first email, what I would like to see is the candidate introduces themselves and tell me about their background, what experience they have, what sort of PhD project they are thinking about. Because sometimes they might have a project in plan as well. And it has happened in the past that sometimes we have students come with us with a project. And then we sort of start the discussion from there and then tailor that project based on the expertise and equipment or instruments or the analytical tools we've got here, and we can supervise them on. So sometimes they can start the discussion of the project, or sometimes they can say, I want to work in this specific area. For example, some might say, oh, I want to work on restorative materials. Or when I was working in the clinics or as part of my MSc, I was working in this area and this sort of interests me. Can we continue research on that? So, I mean, there are different ways by which we can start that discussion over the email and then take it from there.
Okay, so what other aspects are you looking for when a student is applying for PhD? Like, you look for the research statement, which is, I suppose, the research proposal, and obviously their GPA, like in their undergrad or in their masters. Is there anything other? Are there any other requirements? For example, a personal statement, is it required at the PhD level?
I think so. Yes, it is. You sort of need to write it's more like a statement of research, which is, I think that's additional to the research proposal which they submit. I'm not 100% sure now about what the application is, but there's definitely a research proposal. And in addition to that, you need to sort of demonstrate your statement of interest, why you want to do it, what sort of is the driving factor behind doing this PhD. And obviously, in addition to that, you will have your references and your academic qualification, all that stuff. So the process is, so you start an informal discussion with your proposed supervisor, and then once they're happy and they say yes, we are happy to take you on, then you submit the proposal, the sort of your application, which then goes to Queen Mary, the admissions team. They will then assess your application based on academic qualifications, your degrees, that degree from a recognized institution, or all that criteria which admissions have. And then they will, and you will also be asked to nominate a supervisor in that application. And that will then go to the research director of research at the Institute of Dentistry. And then from there, it will go to whoever is the nominated supervisor, which they have nominated. Sometimes students might keep that supervisor option open in case they haven't had any discussion. And then from there, it's down to the research director to then see where this research project fits in, and they will then allocate that project to that more suitable supervisor.
So how important is the interview? Like, suppose if you have one seat for the PhD position, right, and there are more than 5 or 6 applicants, and all of them, they have like masters in their, they have master's degree. So then what's your criteria when you have to select one student out of these?
Yeah, so that usually happens when we have got funded PhD. So that's mainly for, so I'll talk about funding in a bit, but mainly for, say, home students, there's obviously, EPSRC or PBSRC or some other route. If you've got funding, then definitely that then has to be advertised, and then the candidates will apply. So that then goes through the proper formal interview process where we will assess their applications, their research proposal, everything. We will then we'll invite them to an interview where they'll have to give a presentation where they talk about their sort of background and why they think they've got the experience or knowledge to do this PhD. And then afterwards, we will have a chat with them. So that panel will usually consist of the main supervisor, the secondary supervisor, and at least a third person who will then assess them. And then the panel will decide, depending on how well they perform at the interview. So it's going to be a sort of a collection of how well they prepared their presentation, how well it was aligned to that, how well they did at the interview. Obviously, PhD is a program where you will learn a lot of new things. And we don't expect the students to know everything right from the start. It's impossible to expect that. But what we're trying to assess there is their ability to take up challenges and learn these new tasks. Sometimes we do get students from, say, a chemistry background coming into materials or from an engineering background. So they are very different, but what we want to see, are they ready to take up that challenge? Even if you've got somebody, say, from a dental background coming to do a PhD, it will involve quite a bit of chemical analysis. It will some material testing, which is more from materials properties perspective. So again, they probably won't have that experience from their clinical knowledge, but can they demonstrate that they have the ability to take up that challenge and learn these new things as part of their PhD? So that's the thing, that their ability to take up challenges and learn new things.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarosh, for your valuable insights. And we're going to continue this discussion in the next episode. So until then, Allah Hafiz.